Now, in September, the air starts to cool down. The trees are beginning to show yellow against the dark green. Red and yellow apples are the fruit of the season. It's now almost autumn. Welcome to UUCGT, all old friends and new members and visitors and retainees. We welcome all here, regardless of your religious sensibilities, be you Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, pagan, or Hindu. My name is Misty Sheehan, and I'm on the Sunday Services Committee. Welcome both to those of you who are joining us live screen, hi guys, and those who are here with us in our beautiful sanctuary. Do we have any visitors? Introduce yourself. Yeah, please stand up, and there'll be a microphone that comes around over here. Oh, somebody back. Oh, there's somebody back there.
Good morning. My name is Sarah McCarthy, and I'm visiting from Champaign, Illinois, and I'm pleased to be here with my friends Mary and Ken.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much for letting me join you today. My name is Mac, like McIntyre, and I was raised Unitarian in Rochester, New York, Church of Susan B. Anthony, and I'm thrilled to be here today. Could get a little sentimental. Sorry, my sister just went to the Unitarian thing in Carolinas and made me think of coming here. And but anyway, it's I'm on a 3-year pilgrimage around. Been in Asia and the Americas, and I just love you all.
Thank you. Okay, over here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Louis Pardo. This is my wife, Erin, and we just moved back to Traverse City. We lived here about 8 years ago, and attended a few services here. So happy to be back, and just moved back about a month ago from Tampa, Florida. So great to escape the heat and be here with you guys.
Do you want? No? Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Over to my right, on your left, is a table that holds our Joys and Concern book on it. Sharing your joys and concerns with your beloved community helps us stay connected in caring and in celebration. If you have special words you want to share with us, either positive or a sorrow, write them down and light a candle. Reverend Alex will read them later in the service. So now, silence your cell phones, open your hearts, and let the service begin.
Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here with us this morning. I'm Reverend Alex. I'm your senior minister here at UUCGT. I use he and him pronouns. If you're showing up here for the first time, you've actually come to a great service for this kind of thing. Later on, we'll be breaking down what this whole UU thing is and hopefully bringing some clarity to you with any questions that you might have. And we'll actually also be holding a UU orientation following our service today, right here in our sanctuary, if you're interested in learning more about UU and how to get involved or exploring also the pathway to membership. And so in the meantime, I invite you to settle in as we gather and hear these words from the Reverend Bob Janice Dillon. You have come through these doors and into this place. You have come to be with others who care about what it means to live on this beautiful blue-green world. You have come to be with your innermost self, to hear the deep wells within you brimming with courage and vision. You have come to rest in God, rest in the divine silence, to be renewed by not having to be anyone other than who you are right now. You, one small part of the eternal cosmos. The world needs a few people who are honest, even to the point of accepting their imperfection. The world needs a few people who are brave enough to risk individual comfort for the sake of a larger love. The world also needs a few people who honor their own pain while simultaneously remaining open to the transformation of pain to wisdom and compassion. The world needs a few people who are ready to come alive. The sign-up sheets are not on any wall, but wait eternally within the human heart. Let us gather in peace, and let us make room for the infinite possibilities of the Spirit. Welcome, friends, to this hour and to this place, and come, let us worship together. We light our chalice now with many other communities and congregations, including all of you who are joining us online from your homes, from coffee shops, or even from long commutes. Wherever and however you find this service speaking to you, you are welcome to light a flame now as we kindle our own flame in our sanctuary, and we invite Ollie to light our flame as well as I share these words. And these words come from the poet Shel Silverstein. If you are a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, a wisher, a liar, a hoper, a prayer, a magic bean buyer, if you're a pretender, come sit by the fire. For we have some flax golden tales to spin. Come in, come in. And now let us sound our singing bowl from the Buddhist tradition and call ourselves to this mindful moment as we are gathered here now together. That was a good ring to bring us into this moment. I invite you to please rise now in body or in spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 331 in your gray hymnals. Life is the greatest gift of all. Anne-Marie will lead us in singing together.
Life is the greatest gift of all the riches on this earth. Life and its creatures, great and small, of high and lowly birth. So treasure it and measure it with deeds of shining worth. Mind is the brightest gift of all, its thoughts no barrier mars. It seeks creation's hidden planets, crests surrounds all bars. It
That's us. I have a story to tell. Would you like to come up a little closer? I don't have any pictures today. Okay. So many, many, many years ago, there was a village of tiny wooden houses that had dark shingled roofs, and the people in the village were Unitarians just like us. This was in Transylvania. And the people wanted a building all their own, a building that was high up on the hillside, looking down, down, down on the village. So all the people in the village got together and they decided they would build the building. They had stonemasons. Do you know what stonemasons do? No. What do they do? Can someone tell Ollie? Go ahead. They chop rocks up so they can build things with the rocks. And they had glass makers. Why would they want a glass maker? So they can have beautiful windows. They had foresters. What would the foresters do? Yes?
I think that the foresters would cut down trees.
So they would have wood for inside their building. And the foresters made the wood for the building and the shingles for the roof. And they had carpenters. And the carpenters made the beautiful doors and all the furniture that was in there. And then they brought a bell from a faraway city. We have a bell, don't we? Right here. We call it a singing bowl. Yeah. And they had to get it up on their roof, so they tied a rope to it, and they did heave ho, and pulled the bell up onto the roof. And then they had weavers. What does a weaver do? Yes, Clara. They make wool or cotton so you can make rugs, and you can make curtains, and you can make beautiful things to hang. So all these people are working for this church. And then they had blacksmiths. And the blacksmiths made tall black iron into lampstands for their new church, with its strong walls, its bell tower with the magnificent bell. Finally, the building was all done, and the painting could start. They mixed beautiful colors together, and they painted flowers and trees. Do we have any flowers and trees we can put in our building? Bring them right up and put them there. And then, when all the painting was done, at the end of the day, the church was finished. And all the people in the village stood back and they looked around at it and they sang hymns and songs of joy. Their village had a church building now up on the hillside looking down over the village. "Let's eat," said one of the men. And because everyone was hungry after working all day, they went home to do that. Later tonight, they said, "We'll come back." So the people all went down to their homes and their suppers, all except one little girl whose name was Zora. She and her father stayed behind. They had brought their own food to eat, and they sat on the hillside on the grass, and they looked at their new church, and they admired it. And after they'd eaten, they opened the doors and they looked at the beautiful painted sanctuary. And, "Oh, look, Father, see how pretty this building is," Zora said. "See how grand." "Yes, it is, said the father, looking around. Yes, it is. But Father, she said, we aren't done. There are the tall places to put the lanterns, but there is no light. The church will be dark when everybody comes. Oh, no, little one, said the father. The light of the church comes from its people. You shall see. So he rang the bell, and he led her back outside. The sun was setting, and it was very dark. Yet in the growing darkness, there were tiny points of light. And if you would each go down one of these aisles, I think you'll find a light. Can everybody go down their own aisle? And Elliot, can you stay here with this big one? Okay, everybody go down. There's an aisle there. There's one over here. There's one there. And there's one, Clara, right over there. See if you can find a light in your aisle. Okay. And then everybody came up the hillside with their lights, and they put all of their lights together and made a bright, bright light. And soon the church was full of light, and everybody prayed and sang. And then, when it was time to leave, all of the lights left the church and went back to their homes. Zora was home, and she said, Mama, Father said the light of the church comes from the people in it. But the people take their light from the church. Yes, indeed, said her mother. Even when we are not there, even when the lantern is not lit, we carry the truth in our heart and in our minds and the flame of love to show us the right way to be. That light from truth and love will never go out. Never, said Zora. Never, said her mother. And always the flame of love from that Unitarian congregation on the hillside in Transylvania continued to grow and show them all the way. And now we're going to go down to the RE classroom, and everyone will sing to us as we go.
Go in joy, go in peace to meet the day. With open hearts embrace life's wonder. We will guide you, we will love you on your way.
We are saddened for the people of Lahaina and for Canada who have lost their homes from the increased number of forest fires from global warming. But many here in Traverse City are couch surfing or sleeping outside because they don't have homes either. Our offering goes both to carry on activities in our church and to people of our community who are in need. Our offerings especially reflect our commitment to respect the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Our baskets are going to start coming around, in which you can place your offering, or, according to this, you can mail a check to the congregation or visit the UUCGT website. You can use your phone or iPad by downloading the Vanco mobile. May our offerings sustain and grow the life and mission of the congregation.
It is now time in our service to hold our many concerns and also our many joys that we share together. I'll be lifting up those that have been written for us here in our book to hold while we are gathered. And at any point, if you would like to light a candle in honor of your own joy or concern, you may do so in our service, or you're also welcome to reach out to myself or to Barb or to our congregational care team, or simply just hold it here as you are held in the love of our community. None of us is ever meant to travel life's journey alone. And so here is what has been offered up for us to hold as we are gathered. From Max Oldbear, some people say there is a woman to blame, but I think now that it's my own damn fault. Here is to Jimmy Buffett. From Kim Greeby, a candle of joy for our new granddaughter, Elowyn Packett Greeby, born a week ago today at 8 pounds 2 ounces, to daughter Allie and her husband, Sean. A big congratulations. Kim, where are you? There you are. Hi, Kim. Congratulations. And from Betsy Wacker, thinking of my mom, Carol, on her birthday, no longer with us and still our North Star. And now let us take a moment to hold all of the joys and concerns that remain on our hearts in the silence. Join now, if you're willing, into a spirit of meditation and prayer. And let us join in taking a couple of deep breaths together. Taking a deep breath in and out. One last deep breath in and out. In the spirit of this service on Unitarian Universalism, I invite you to pray, meditate, or center yourself in whichever manner feels the most comfortable and authentic to you. To pray the prayers that lie there on your heart, to feel the love in this room surround you, to calm and quiet your mind and heart. Let us hold a brief space together as we pray and meditate all those things that we hold on our hearts. And as we leave this centering, grounded space together, let us say, may it be so, and amen. Let us sing now our song of response, Spirit of Life.
Our reading this morning is an excerpt from a UU World article interviewing Carolyn McDade on her creation of the Song of Life, now a beloved tune in our gray hymnal. In this piece, we learn a surprising fact, that Carolyn McDade does not really call herself only a UU. No other song, no other prayer is so well known and loved in Unitarian Universalism as The Spirit of Life by Carolyn McDade. It's our doxology, or perhaps our Amazing Grace. Many congregations sing it every Sunday, or at least enough to know the words by heart. 6 short lines, Spirit of Life touches so much more that's central to our faith: compassion, justice, community, freedom, reverence for nature, and the mystery of life. As close as this piece of music is to the hearts of many UUs, its songwriter is something of an enigma. Carolyn McDade grew up a Southern Baptist in a series of small rural Louisiana towns. When she was just 6, the United States entered World War II, which disheartened her quite a lot. Carolyn McDade does not call herself only a Unitarian Universalist. I never huff, she laughs, blowing out a puff of air, and left. But when someone asks where I am being spiritually formed and where I am participating in the spiritual formation of others, it's not ever been connected with churches. It's with the groups of women that I formed for my own spirituality. Neither does she identify herself as a songwriter or a musician, although she's written hundreds of songs and released 15 CDs. Activist, yes, but not a musician, she says. Like much of Carolyn's music, the genesis of Spirit of Life was a very personal one. Late one night in the early 1980s, she was driving her close friend Pat Simon home from a social justice gathering. What she remembers most clearly was the feeling that she had. When I got to Pat's house, I told her, I feel like a piece of dried cardboard that's laid in the attic for years. Just open the door and I'll be dust. I was tired, not with my community, but with the world. McDade then drove to her own home in Newtonville. I walked through my house in the dark, found my piano, and that was my prayer. May I not drop out. It was not written, but prayed. I knew more than anything that I wanted to continue in faith with the movement. She shared the song with a community of women that she organized and sang with, as she still does with all of her songs. A handwritten version with just the melody line appeared in the songbook she used for years. Then, in the early 1990s, the UU Hymn Book Commission approached McDade about including her song in Singing the Living Tradition. She was reluctant. I thought it was more of a living prayer than a hymn. McDade was not even aware of how widely or how long UUs had been singing the song in their churches, copying it from gathering to gathering, without getting permission or paying the songwriter. They loved it. All of McDade's recordings have been born out of years of close collaboration amongst scores of women in her groups. There are over 10 groups in the United States and Canada, and there are 2 here in Michigan, one in Detroit and one here in Traverse City. To sit amongst one of Carolyn's choruses, to sing with them, feels like entering a sacred place, a place of women who put the best of themselves into a community together, nurturing one another as they seek to make the world more like the community they've formed, working out their differences, creating and discarding, and always laughing a lot. This is Carolyn McDade's place. This is her community, her work. This is where her songs live. And happiness is a word that describes it.
I first learned about Unitarian Universalism at a Sunday morning Easter egg hunt. I remember my mom driving us, my brother and I, to a wide open field in San Jose, California, for the Unitarian Church's Easter festivities that year. Tons of these multicolored eggs hidden behind trees and tall grasses, a whole ordeal that was held by the church that was also my grandmother's church, the same grandma who takes the credit for making me a Unitarian Universalist today. And being about 7, my brother about 4, we didn't know much about churches growing up. To be honest, I remember even feeling skeptical or weird about it, thinking about all the other churches I knew of, and wondering how our family would fit in. After all, we were a house of atheists. How is that going to work out? So on the drive over, my mom spoke with us about the hunt, explaining that we'd meet people from Grandma's church and that this church wasn't like the other churches that we knew of. In my mom's words, these are people who think about things like we do. They are like us and how we believe as a family. Still suspicious, I didn't fully understand what she meant, and even as a kid, I figured there would have to be some kind of belief or agenda that they'd want to push on us while we were out there. Unitarian Universalists, could you imagine? And true to form, after a rousing Easter egg hunt, yours truly even got to find the hidden golden egg that year. I realized that I finally understood and got what my mom meant. We didn't receive any pamphlets or those rehearsed elevator speeches. There wasn't an attempt at swaying our beliefs or telling us that we were somehow wrong about thinking about something a certain way. All we had was this fantastic Easter egg hunt with a group of other wonderful kids and people, all just there to have fun and community together. I think this left an imprint on me in a way, how what I experienced of Unitarian Universalism was less about what you believe and more about how you love, how you are in the world with other people, and how it is that you share your values. Not believing the same way, but about making space for love to show up in our lives. It's a busy Sunday. That's what I learned about Unitarian Universalism that day, a memory that I suspect continues to leave its mark on my life, and why I believe places like ours are so important. So today we're asking this basic question: what is a UU anyway? I know that there are a multitude of ways to approach such a question, perhaps as many ways as there are Unitarian Universalists. Though it's an important question for us to consider, especially with how relaxed we are as a faith about what one believes. How we don't press or force anyone to accept a set of beliefs or ideas in order for them to find community with us here. In fact, I suspect there are even a few of us here who have been around here for years who actually might not call themselves Unitarian Universalists. We've got a long and mighty list of friends here alongside our membership rolls, folks who are listed in our directory, but who have actually not signed the membership book itself. And so this begs a whole series of interesting questions. Are you a Unitarian Universalist if you are a member of a UU congregation? What about if you are not a member, but you attend services every Sunday? What if you've read the 8 principles and 6 sources and tried to align your life with them as best as you can? Are you a Unitarian Universalist then, even if you don't call yourself one? This is the whole point of the question, and so I have to ask you all, what is a Unitarian Universalist? I want you to be honest here. How many of you have heard of Carolyn McDade before the reading today? A few people. And of those of you that have heard of her, how many of you assumed that she was a Unitarian Universalist? It would be hard not to, right? I mean, I was just so surprised to discover in seminary that Carolyn McDade doesn't actually call herself a Unitarian Universalist. It was something that really surprised me, given how prominent her music is in our tradition and across our wider movement. In fact, next Sunday we're doing the Water Communion service, which also has roots from Carolyn McDade as well. So where she ends up finding spiritual community is beyond both congregations and churches. There wasn't any massive breaking point or bad blood. She definitely found like minds in UU spaces. She knew well of who we are and what it is that we're all about. But for Carolyn, she found spirit moving in her singing groups with other women. This has always spiritually grounded and formed her more than any other community or space. And yet, where this intersects with our question is the wondering, is Carolyn McDade really not a Unitarian Universalist? She's right up there with us on the front lines of activism and social justice, sharing our shared values together. What makes somebody a Unitarian Universalist? Isn't she that? While we would love to claim Carolyn as one of our own, we can't answer this question for certain. It's the same mystery that will be with us for as long as our faith remains free, as long as the importance of belief is lesser than the importance of sharing values together. I expect this might be a controversial point to make, but I do think there is a metric we might use to determine whether somebody is a Unitarian Universalist. We've already determined that signing the membership book isn't the be-all, end-all for calling oneself a Unitarian Universalist, so that's out. We also know that belief isn't that important either. Don't get me wrong, I suppose that there are a central core aspect of belief that we generally do share as Unitarian Universalists. How every person holds an innate, immeasurable worth simply by being born a human being. How we elevate the virtues of justice, compassion, and love in our relationships with one another. Though there isn't a single code or creed to which all UUs must subscribe in order to call themselves UUs. And so we can't measure our UU-ness, if you will, based on belief. What then are we left with? Living into shared common values is one aspect that gets us closer to what makes a Unitarian Universalist. We know the old quote that says, "We need not think alike to love alike," from the Hungarian Unitarian court chaplain Francis David. We also know the classic quote about the development of our faith from the historic Universalist and Unitarian traditions, how the Universalists believe God is too good to damn people, and the Unitarians think people are too good to be damned by God. That's from the minister Thomas Starr King. What we glean from these quotes is that doing good in the world, living a life of justice, integrity, compassion, and wonder, is a big part of why the Universalists and Unitarians got together in the first place back in 1961. These were traditions that were vastly different in their stated beliefs, what they believed about God at the time. In fact, there were many Universalists who were actually Trinitarian in their theology, if you can believe it, believing in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And likewise, there were Unitarians who believed that they would be judged in the afterlife based on their deeds and the state of their soul, rather than simply on their religious affiliations. Hardly universal salvation at this point in time. Though what they could agree on was this principle of love. That belief, in the end, didn't matter so much. It didn't even matter what church you belonged to or what good things you said that you believed in. What mattered most was what you did with your life. The other famous adage of deeds, not creeds, that we Unitarian Universalists care the most about. So now we're getting somewhere with what makes somebody a Unitarian Universalist. Emphasis on action over one's stated beliefs. We still run into the problem that even if someone does good in their life, even if they live in a way that largely aligns with Unitarian Universalism, they still might not call themselves a Unitarian Universalist. In fact, they may even belong to another tradition or faith entirely, and they may not belong to any faith at all. Unitarian Universalism is not exceptional or the only tradition in which people love one another, do good things, or strive to lead ethical lives. I know that that's probably a shocker for some of you. So is it fair to call someone a Unitarian Universalist even if they don't call themselves one either? I feel like there's a joke to be made here about if it looks like a duck or quacks like a duck. If it looks like a UU or even lives like a UU, then they're a UU, right? And no, we can't measure our UU-ness by the number of bumper stickers on the backs of our cars, though you know you're in the right place if you start to see a lot of them. So I want to reframe this whole discussion from beliefs and labels. I ultimately don't think it's helpful for us to focus on these alone. We know that there will always be exceptions to any rule. There will always be Unitarian Universalists in our lives by their actions, but not in name. So again, what is this whole UU thing anyway? And at the end of the day, what makes somebody a Unitarian Universalist? I posit that the true marker of one's UU-ness isn't based in belief or in their stated identity. Instead, I think it's a person's alignment with and accountability to a larger sense of love beyond just ourselves. I think that what makes a Unitarian Universalist is someone striving each day to live their life in discussion with and in response to this greater love, whatever we might call this love in the language of faith and belief. Ultimately, a Unitarian Universalist is someone who affirms that there exists a love that will not let any single one of us go. That listening to and heeding the call of this love brings us toward living lives of generosity and inclusion. This is not an easy or cheap sense of love. This is a love that brings with it a strong sense of action and responsibility. Again, it's easy to profess a belief in love. It's a whole other thing living into this love, aligning one's life with this love, actually doing love in action. I'd argue that a Unitarian Universalist is someone who has felt the spirit of love within this community or in any other UU space and has been transformed by this love. To be a Unitarian Universalist is to see a world wide with wonder, and to live one's life in such a way that they hear love's call and follow it toward greater love and understanding. That's about as clean of a metric as I can give you. And it's a metric that I know from my own life and experience why I continue to call myself a Unitarian Universalist. That Easter egg hunt those many years ago left a resonant imprint on my life and taught me the basics of what UUs do when they actually get together. And no, they don't lay multicolored eggs. I know some of you are thinking that. I didn't need a lengthy explanation or this in-depth course on Unitarian Universalism in order to get it. I understood it by the love that was present there, a love that I knew wasn't bound up in believing or doing things all the same way. I felt a love that was simply there, a love that taught me everything I needed to know about sharing and creating more of this love for others and for our wider world. I want to turn now to a thought experiment that I had with a friend of mine while we were in seminary. The thought experiment is basically thinking about whether someone can truly call themselves a Unitarian Universalist if they're not also grounded in any community. I remember teasing through this question, thinking about how for me at the time, the emphasis seemed so much on the individual, what an individual believes. What I've learned now is that one's own individual belief and identity only goes so far in the overall UU equation. To actually live into UU values, we need to be accountable to them. While it's not required to join or participate in any UU community in order to call yourself a UU, you can't be a UU if you're not accountable for your actions. I don't think that's that controversial of a thing to say. If you're not able to live into this larger sense of love and community, can you call yourself a UU? So that's where this leaves us in the end. Calling yourself a Unitarian Universalist takes little importance on what a person individually believes. Instead, doing Unitarian Universalism in our lives and in our wider world is really what this is all about. And we need one another in order to do Unitarian Universalism right. Love is not truly love if it is withheld or bound up just for ourselves. So to close, we may not ever have a clean and clear answer for what this whole UU experiment is all about. We may not ever be able to call Carolyn McDade a UU, or the many others out there in our lives who also live by our values, though I don't think this is what is the most important for us to think on. Instead, we want to know how it is you are encountering love in your daily life and what it is you're doing to make this love alive and real. That's at least what I think Unitarian Universalism is all about. And so I say, may it be so, and amen. Let us pause now for a brief moment of stillness together. If you would please now rise in body or in spirit as we join in singing our closing hymn, number 1023, in your teal hymnals, Building Bridges. I invite you to pay attention as we receive some instruction from Anne-Marie on how to sing this as a round together.
I would like to invite the members of the vocal ensemble who are present to form our leadership circle, I think we could call that. We will sing this through together twice. And then let's see, we've got 4 parts here, so let's make some wedges. If you're in this section, you'll be wedge number 1. When we turn it into a round, we'll go first. And then, let's see, in this section, we'll be starting second. This wedge will start in third, the round third. And then this wedge will start fourth. And we'll sing together for as long as the the music moves us, and then I'll give you an indication when to conclude, okay? It's going to be fun. Oh, and if you're not quite sure which wedge you are, you can choose.
blow the candle out with another one of Carolyn McDade's voices. She says, we all breathe as one. We all breathe as one. Within this sacred moment, we all breathe as one.
What I didn't tell Misty was that I put the trick candles up today for Sunday, just to keep you on your toes. And so in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, in the spirit of Unitarian Universalism, our great faith, may we be made ready to serve one another and to create the world that we so desperately dream of. Go in peace all. May it be so. Amen. Our service is now at its end. I just want to plug a reminder that for those of you interested in joining us here in our sanctuary for the UU orientation after the service, this is a no commitment, just a place to kind of learn more about how to get more involved or learn about the pathway to membership. So we'll have a quick 10-minute break or so to allow you to stretch your legs and maybe get some coffee. And then please join us if you're interested in attending that. And then I also want to just make a nod to these wonderful quilts that are hanging up there by surprise right as you walk in. That seems so apropos to our whole theme of, who is a Unitarian Universalist? Well, there you go. There are some historic folks up there that either are Unitarians or Universalists in our history, and so I just invite you to check those out. They've got people on the face of different stamps, and so you can kind of enjoy looking at that and maybe recognizing a few names. So it's good to be with you. Go in peace and grow in love.